Minneapolis City.
To post goals! What about that?
The People's Pitch Podcast, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Hi, diddly ho, soccer neighbors. It is me, Nate, and this is the People's Pitch Podcast, the one, the only, the original podcast about your team, Minneapolis City SC. As always, I am joined by the Rod to my Todd Flanders, John Bisworm. John, you got July 1st circled on your calendar yet?
What's going on, Nate? Outside of the fact that we played Dakota Fusion away that day, if my memory serves right, I haven't quite burned the calendar or the schedule for the season into my brain, or the tattoo I want to put on my forearm of the 2017 schedule, and maybe in henna so it goes away. I think my memory serves me correctly that is Dakota Fusion away. Why don't you tell the folks what else is maybe significant that date?
Yeah, man. Minnesota joins the ranks of the big boy states, and we're able to buy alcohol in liquor stores on Sundays on July 1st. So that'll be good for some tailgating.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to hit up City games or United games, it'll be sweet. I'm excited for it. Everyone seems to be pretty happy.
You can buy
Governor's going to sign it
7 days a week.
Yeah, right.
There's no.
I think that's the key selling point for
our fans.
For our stuff. You buy Summit 7 days a week.
I mean, coming from a state to the west, just off the border, it was probably the dumbest thing that I came across when I moved here, was that you can't go and buy. I mean, at least you can only buy a case of Coors Light on a Sunday. Like, it's something like that. I don't care.
Right, it's not like you need to grab a handle of Jack Daniels and pound it on Sunday, but at least
some people do, just to get rid of the shakes from the weekend.
I'm just happy that it's one less thing that you people from Wisconsin can hold over. It's like it makes you superior or something.
Like Super Bowl trophies?
That's all you got left.
Zing. All right. Anyways, let's forget about that. Let's get on to some real talk, some real soccer talk.
All right, man. So we put out the bat signal, the people's signal, and we've asked you guys to finally gave us a little input. You finally have your answers this week as far as what you want to hear about. So we're going to do a show dedicated to you, the people. We've got a lot of soccer news for your soccer needs. There's of course some interesting news dropped today out of our own Northern Conference. It has to do with a little copycat club. We like a little copycat club that we have to our west. Of course, the supporters' sword. It's a real sword. What is the deal with that? I want to talk about that. Yeah, I really do want to see it because they tweeted about it today, and they tweeted a picture of a sword, and I'm wondering if it's the sword. And then, of course, city merch. People want to know what up with that swag. The season is on the way. You got your pocketbooks. You got your tax returns coming in, and you got to blow them on something. You got to blow them on looking good, right? And people want to know about all the other teams, some other teams in the Midwest that they can follow, maybe some teams of interest. And following that, we've got a huge announcement regarding one of those teams in the Midwest. But first, John, let's talk about the news out of the Northern Conference.
Yes. So, Nate, news broke today, as you mentioned on Twitter, that our crosstown rivals, the Minnesota Twin Stars, have a new podcast. Great for them. Fine. Dandy.
Yeah, hooray.
Sweet. I guarantee you all 8 of your fans will listen to it. Being that you have we have our own show, and we have plenty to talk about, we could really care less about them. But it makes you wonder, Nate, what else are they going to copy after us?
Yes. That's the big news, is the Twin Stars announcing that podcast. The kicker is the host is a city member.
Yeah.
So that's pretty strange, and who knows how they contacted him or how that came about. Maybe they did a casting call. But I think in the end, this could lead to some interesting chants from the citizens faithful. I'm not really suggesting that we invented the podcast in any way, and I think that this discussion isn't really around, like, obviously we're not the first person to ever do a podcast as a medium, as a communication
Right.
medium, but come on, man, like, this is just like the latest in a long line of things that the Twin Stars have kind of stood up and said, oh yeah, we got that too.
You're right. One thing that you said that I'll continue as our North Star, not our Twin Star, as we talk through this, is that we did not invent the podcast. A lot of the ideas that we're going to talk about that we kind of we cater to us, or we call our own, are things that maybe have been done before, but we've given it our own thing. We maybe have invented it in theory in our market. Or perfected it in our market before anyone else. But it's very funny that we were not even a blip on the radar that when the Twin Stars were kind of the thing at this level in town. Mm-hmm. They used to be the focal point of players to play at a high level before competition came into the fold, be it us, be it Minnesota United, the
reserves.
The reserves, right. And they were fine living in their niche with developing talent through their youth system. Their academy team, even up until last year is very successful. And then promoting those guys through to the MPSL or to the APL level or whatever. Well, Nate, then we roll into town. We crack the mold of amateur, semi-pro sports. We make our own niche. We create our own voice. A following begins. We have a blast off, in the market for soccer fans because we're something different. We're gaining traction, and it was all due to the hard work of people like myself, like you, like Dan and Nick, the other two founders, Sarah. The interns we had, the players themselves that were doing their own marketing, the hard work we did to put in our relationship with the 55.1 guys.
Having a supporters club, like keeping the chatter alive on Twitter and keeping the presence up there on social media and in the community is important.
So then the Twin Stars and us match up in the same league as each other. And shortly after that, they hire the former owner of FC Fargo to be their GM. And people can't see I'm doing like air quotes. Whatever GM means for a team that's really didn't need one beforehand. To me, it seems like make us relevant because we're not anymore. And that's your job. I don't know what the job description was for that. But then he takes over there across town, and things start to look familiar, Nate.
Yeah.
And like he said, look, we don't own the rights to ideas we come up with. Some of them we do because they are original. Excuse me, but we come up with these ideas and we execute them, but we work really hard, like I said, at them to make them our own. And then you look across the road and you see another club literally doing everything that you do. It pisses you off, right? Mm-hmm. And we shouldn't care about this stuff because I really don't care about them. We have 2 dates this summer where we can just show them why we don't care about them. But it's like the movie Coming to America. Have you ever seen Coming to America?
Oh, yeah, man.
Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall. We are the McDonald's of the division, and they are the McDowells, where we've got the Big Mac and they have the Big Mick. It doesn't matter who came before who. We have the corner of the market we created, and it's strong. And they used to have something, and it's not what it used to be. And they're trying to get it back, and they're not getting it back on their own. They're getting it back by following our lead, which is kind of a tip of the cap, right? That we're doing things right. But we like you mentioned, we have a supporters group. We had a hat collaboration with Talisman, and if they do that, the gloves are totally off because, like,
right?
I don't.
Come on, you trying to steal my friends?
Right. I don't think that's something Dustin would do. I mean, Dustin wants to make $1, but I don't think. I think he'd rather do another round of hats with us before he would do it with them. But if they, Dustin, if you're listening, let us know if they come at you because we'll come at them, bro. So we did the hat collab with Talisman. We mentioned our social presence. Most people who listen here already follow us on social. We had an MASL reserve team. They just come out that the TC Fire is now their reserve team in the MASL. This podcast is ours. Nate, what else could they possibly rip off that is
Right.
ours?
Well, I agree 100%. And it's something that, so first of all, let me say that something that I've come to realize more this year and over this off season than any other time is that soccer fandom it's tribal, right? And it's something that you hold near and dear to your heart as if it were, family for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it has to do with your roots.
Well, for the people who like their families.
Yeah,
right. Some people just don't like their family, so they find a new one. So they find a new tribe, right? So it's like,
right.
It's like the people in Manchester, the FC United of Manchester. They just got
Yeah.
fed up with Manchester United and said, "Screw it, we're starting our own club." They didn't like their family, their soccer family, and they moved to another one. So you're right. It's 100% tribal.
So it's pretty tribal. So I think it's easy to jump to like a place of animosity in your head when you're talking about other clubs and things like that. And I think in some instances it's easy for us to do too, because we're trying to keep the brand going, right? Keep it going strong. But let me just tell you why this isn't one of those like manufactured or baseless rivalries that has just popped up, because I think like it'd be one thing if their general manager hadn't like come to our games a bunch and like hung out with us on the field
and talk to us
like,
about how to run the organization and
exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden what happens is the next year he moves from Fargo and he becomes the general manager of this other club across town, and he does the exact same shit as us. Yeah. And we brought this up, and this kind of leads into something that we brought up a little bit last week when we were talking about the Loons Kids. Like, there is a soccer heritage here in Minnesota, and when you're part of it, why not draw from that? Like, we had a place, we had a strategy, we had a message, we have a mission, a place that we're coming from as a podcast, as a brand, as a club, right?
And it all works together.
And it all works together. We had to establish ourselves, right? But I guess when your heritage is faded and ex-players struggle to say positive things about playing there and sign with us, I guess that might be tough to channel. I get it. But part of what's really getting under my skin about all this is that in anything you do, like I just said, you need a POV, you need a point of view. And ours was to document this process of building a team and take listeners and our supporters and our friends along for the ride as we build that team.
We basically wrote a manifesto script. Sorry to interrupt you. At the end of the year, Chairman Hudeman did it. He opened up the doors and said, "This is what we did," and that leaves us vulnerable to people doing what this is. But I mean, come on, bro, right?
That's fine. Like exactly. Like when you match that model step for step, it shines a pretty bright light on the fact that you really have no unique perspective as an organization. Beyond
paint by numbers, basically. Beyond
standing up and saying, "Hey, we're a team in Minneapolis too," it just feels like total poser shit.
You mean a team that's playing in Minnetonka, not?
So it's true poser shit,
right? So if you're listening, Minnesota Twin Stars, we could literally shit on you all night. So let's leave it at this, please. If you listen to my interview on Flacco Glass, I mentioned this about soccer in America, whether it be high level, non-league, whatever, youth. Stop pretending and be your own club. Be who you are. Be genuine. Create something. Don't copy it. Because when you copy things, you get found out. You get had. And the people who think that you're genuine get it, because you don't have something that is a bedrock that you can continue to build off of. Like, we've built the foundation and it's solid, and no matter how long we're in existence, you can always go back to the foundation as the things that we're part of. So it isn't funny. It looks cheap. It makes us have to be guarded about the people that we thought were genuine friends of the game with us, that we have to now look over our shoulder, and it shouldn't be like that. So thank you for another piece of bulletin board material for the city locker room. I've already had people reach out to me about it, and said some very not nice things. But we'll leave it at this. Never forget, City fans. 6-0, RIP Fargo.
Yes. So if you've been living on Twitter like we have, friends, you will know about the Supporters Sword, which is a goofy online contest that was run this month by the American Soccer United handle.
Yeah, I don't know
in
who
the
those guys
name
are, where they're
in the
from.
name of Supporters Month. I don't know either, but all of a sudden they started popping up on everyone's feed.
He's brilliant.
Mostly because they just created a contest and tagged every squad they could think of with a pretty solid supporters following.
Yeah,
Of course, including us.
not the Twin
and
Stars.
Because, yes, and of course, as you mentioned last week, I'm a huge nerd. So because there was a sword, I got interested, right?
Like really interested.
I also like the prospect of little teams knocking off the big dogs and knock them off like we did, en masse. Because these mostly small regional clubs dominated. You saw Portland Timbers go down. You saw Seattle Sounders go down. Eventually, Indy 11 went down after they beat us in a real squeaker.
We lost out to the Bavarians, who went equally far in the, I guess you could say, like the World Cup style play-in round. But we beat Minnesota United.
Yeah, right. They didn't make it. They didn't make it far.
Everyone shit on Milwaukee Torrent, which is great. Like, screw those guys.
which they should.
Yeah,
but these mostly small regional clubs like us dominated, whether it's the Bavarians or Chattanooga or Detroit or even the Boca Bots, and then eventual winners Providence, right?
Yep.
So after we lost to Indy 11 on a Sunday, which kind of sucked. Who's checking Twitter that much on Sunday?
I know,
to
right?
vote. To vote, that was kind of weak. But anyway, after we lost,
outside here.
And it was like the most beautiful day in the world, and nobody's on Twitter.
No one's on their
and
computer.
We just happened to lose to Indianapolis. They're
biking around the lakes. Like, come on, guys.
So I decided to throw my hat in with the Providence Rogues, and I never really looked back. And I chose them because, first of all, sweet logo, just a skull and crossbones. The Rogues name is cool, and my mom's from Rhode Island, so I'm sold. Right?
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Morales
so
FC. I love it.
I started chatting them up by, it was kind of a cool way for clubs like ours to come together from across the country. And I think this whole Supporters Sword fostered a pretty robust discussion around the nature of fandom and who this online poll contest was really for, who's a real supporter, who's not. And we found out that the Boca Raton robots were not real supporters.
Yeah, look, but I do have some questions that I'd like to sprinkle in here.
Yeah.
As you're giving this wonderful description of the nerd part of soccer.
Yeah.
The things that I really kind of connected with through this thing was it made me look at and do research on some of these clubs that I've heard of. Mm-hmm. But I never really knew a lot about, like Providence. I don't really know anything about them. I knew about Boca Raton. I knew about people like Chattanooga and Detroit, but I really kind of went in and was like thinking, hey, these guys are up against like an MLS team. I'd like to know more about them before I vote for an MLS team, which I think has great fans. Right. That's how I broke it down after, when I was voting myself was, are these fans genuine? Or are they manufactured? And that's what I thought this was all about. And that's why it pisses me off that we lost it in Indy 11. Because I thought their fans are genuine, the majority of them. But a lot of them are Peter Wilt loyalists who started the club. And they kind of have manufactured their own like sub fan group, I think, of the people who are loyalists and then the people who are like the Dark Clouds or the True North Elite, who are really about the team itself because it's in their area. But anyways, the one thing I wanted to note was how all of a sudden people from Detroit got really pissed off about this thing. Yeah. Like it went from 0 to 100 all of a sudden, and it was like
it totally did because it was awfully fishy that Boca Raton would show up in a poll with like where the average vote per round, right? Until it got to be the finals where everyone was getting all their friends to vote. Average votes per round were around 1,000. And somehow
all of a sudden
Boca Raton was netting 1,000 per round. And there was all these accusations running around that, well, they're hiring Brazilians to to just go online and vote for them for
or just
pennies.
old people,
Right.
and retirees, snowbirds.
But they got real into it, and that's something that goes back to what I said earlier, that soccer is so tribal that I respect what Detroit has done
They don't
with
have
their
to
soccer
prove
club, and
anything
I
to
get
anyone.
I get that they've got such a great fan base and all that, but eventually you have to accept that you want more people to be interested in soccer. And sooner or later, there's going to be a team that pops up in a city where the supporters group is not as big as yours. And that's okay, dudes. Sorry, we can't draw 20,000 people yet. Why don't you just fucking chill and let us all enjoy the same thing?
Yeah.
But that's, so that's kind of where that comes from.
It was just funny because it got real fast.
Yeah.
We were joking
Boca
around.
Raton took the heat of it.
Yeah, they totally did. And from what Dan tells me from being at the NPSL meetings, they're really good guys, the Boca Raton guys, and they're a lot like us. They're a little more proper than we are. We're a little more tongue in cheek on certain things. But it was just funny because we had banter with the Bavarians, right? In our group, it was oh, the soccer moms, it's 2:00 and all the soap operas are over, so the soccer moms have some time before school that's out, they can vote, stuff like that. It was all playful, and we know they have a strong following, and we're going to get into their history a little bit further later. But it was just that's playful banter, and all of a sudden it was just fuck you, this is bullshit, they're cheating, we're the best fans on earth. It was just whoa, guys, settle down. And that's when I tweeted out to the group, was I forget what I said. It was something that's why we can't have nice things, or it's all fun and games until someone gets their eye poked out. And then it was it's all fun and games until there's an actual sword on the line.
Well, I'm just glad that the Rogues won, the Pirates won.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
But what the Pirates can't say is that they're undefeated in the U.S. Open Cup.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
But they've promised. I asked them on Twitter directly. In exchange for my support, they promised that I can touch the sword. So I'm going to take them up on that one day, and maybe we can have them on. Maybe we can have a Skype sword party. They can show us the sword when they get it. So
I want to clarify some things to our listeners. Nate is actually talking about touching another person's sword. I let you go through your explanation of it, but I know you're excited about it. But I actually would love to have those guys on, congratulate them on their victory, and just talk about their process throughout the whole thing, and maybe learn a little more about them, because we talked about on our one of our previous podcasts this year that our anniversary podcast, that we want to get more people on that are involved in soccer. So if you're listening, I mean, they follow us pretty hardcore, which is great. I see them liking a lot of the things that we do in social media, and so yeah, if you're listening, slide on into them DMs with your new sword and unsheath that beast, and slide into our DMs, and let's get this going. Let's talk one of these weeks. For real. So John, the people spoke once again, and the masses want to know, can we top last year in merch, and what can they look forward to this year? Can we top last year's merch? We had such a big year for things, Minneapolis City, that people could put on their bodies. They're screaming for more things. How do you really top last year, Nate? Really, how do you do it unless you launch a new kit? And we launched 3 of them in our first year. So, yeah. I mean, we did so much. We created this brand that won the worst brand on earth, yet people love it, or they love to hate it. There's only the worst logo, right? But yeah, true. But any publicity is good publicity, right? That's what they say. Yeah, if you're not first, you're last at something, right? So, in the great words of Ricky Bobby. So we created this brand with merch in mind, right? It was built around Our font choice is the Fauché font. If anyone's familiar with the city from out of state, the Fauché Tower is one of a historic buildings. So our font is the Fauché
Our first
font.
skyscraper.
Yeah, it's our first skyscraper. So we have this historic font. We bring it in because we're the team about the city. The logo itself was designed in such a way in the creative brief that Trent talked about and got all angry about it. Trent being the designer who created it. He built it with T-shirts in mind, because if you know anything about Minnesotans, they love their merch about the state and about the city. There's like companies dedicated to it, and they do very well for themselves. So we started with that. We designed 2 great looking kits that we play in that are our home and away, and we joke there's nothing more demoralizing than losing to a team in pink in your own house.
You know it.
Yeah. So we created these 2 great jerseys that will one day be throwbacks in their own right. And then we created a throwback thing, kind of tongue in cheek, as our cup jersey. And then we end up being undefeated, going 2-0 and wearing them. We won against FC Fargo and just completely tore them apart and ruined their franchise, 6-0. And then we go in the Open Cup and we wear them. We would have continued to wear them if we were allowed in the Open Cup. And we go 2-0 in them. And then our T-shirt game is totally on point. We have the classic Crow Gray Crow. I really like that one.
That's good.
Yeah, we have just the famous traditional black MPLS City shirt. We have a whole bunch of. I think our T-shirt game is on point. The pink internship or the interns jerseys that the staff wears at the games. We had our hat collab with Talisman. Not only one but multiple hats. You got your Flex Fit. Yeah. You have your Flex Fit throwback. You have your your more stylish,
your classic logo. You got the big MPLS, like almost like the courier cap with the pink bill. And then you and I have a couple of limited edition promos.
Right, and then you have the undefeated shirts that we just created as our.
We saw on Twitter. I saw on Twitter today that those may have arrived at the post office.
Yeah, and if you ordered one, you can pick them up at the member meeting. I think I'm totally speaking out of one side of the mouth because I have no idea if that's true or not because I don't handle merchandise. But the undefeated shirt it was something that we were like, we have to create this because it's so us that we create something like that because of who we are and how we go about things. So the simple response to the people is, what do you want? We can make things for you that will take your whole paycheck immediately. But what is it? What is it that you want that we can provide for you? I mean, we have some stuff in mind. I know there's a couple designers that are working on things right now. We haven't really settled on anything for next season. We still have some stuff from last season that is still available. But we always do our own thing and then hope the people love it. And the response has been pretty nice. I think our merchandise sales helped us last year. But is there something specific? So I think what we'll do is we'll head to Twitter again and we'll ask the people what they want so that we can pass it along to, the folks that are in charge of that. But Nate, what do you want? Is it the pink Minneapolis City thong?
Yeah, man, like the Borat style bodysuit. Where it's no,
We're just, yeah, okay.
For real though, hoodies. I think we're missing hoodies, and I love a good hoodie. Like we have a lot of t-shirts, which is great for summer. But if I want to rep city in the wintertime, I'm a little low on options.
Right.
Or maybe for some. Oh, it would be sweet. This is a good idea for the state fair. We can get like city ponchos, so you can get like a huge rain poncho if you caught in the storm at the state fair. You rep Minneapolis City,
sure,
but only at the state fair. Or if you're for some reason in the middle of a monsoon. But how about you, John? Like, are you looking?
You just fold that sucker up and put it in your glove box. You never know when it's going to rain.
You never know when it's going to rain. So what do you want, John? Like a onesie for Gus?
I think that'd be great.
Feet pajamas?
Yeah, something for the kids, right? We haven't created anything for the kids.
I meant adult feet pajamas, but that's cool too.
Right. I mean, We can size up. I really want to see a golf shirt for the dads of the world. Being that you mentioned my boy, the Gus, but something for the dads. Perhaps not the same thing that the players have, but something that's not a jersey, but it has a collar. I would also love a
because jerseys don't fit a lot of people very well, including myself.
Got to hit that gym.
Golf shirts are a little more forgiving.
Yeah, something a little forgiving for the dad bods.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I'd also love a hoodie, any kind, any color, like you said, something to wear in the winter. Because all the stuff that I wear in the winter is like all my Stegman stuff. Because I have like closets full of it.
Yeah. Or like track jacket kind of a thing. That would even be rad. That's my jam.
Yeah, I mean we have the coach's jacket that we have for the summer. It's more of a rain type jacket that you can purchase. That's on there. We don't have a whole lot of long sleeve options. We have the long sleeve black warm up top that we roll out when we play, in some cold weather friendlies and things where numbers aren't required. But something long sleeve I think would be great, and hoodie would be awesome. And maybe I can make that happen since I have a pipeline in. But before we go to the next segment, I do want to ask, what's your favorite thing that we've created thus far?
Including the talisman stuff?
I mean, that's something that was a collab, so
yeah. I mean, it's got to be.
We already know you're a homer for those guys.
Well, it's got to be the throwback kit. It's great to wear in the summer. It's kind of like half soccer jersey, half golf shirt, which I like a lot. But I also really dig just the straight up MPLS gray T-shirt that I own with just the crow sitting on the M. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool too.
I'm a big fan of the throwback as well, but I'm also a big fan of the winter cap. The winter cap. I like the winter cap. It's got the pom pom on the top, and it's black, white, and gray stripes. It's pretty slick, and
trailblazers in that department.
I know, yeah, it's making hats.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to Twitter. We'll ask the fans what they want. What we haven't even mentioned too is the stuff that the citizens make.
Oh shit! They have their own merch too for the supporters group, and even if you're not active in the supporters group, it's always great to be a citizen. That classic snapback like Citizens cap that looks like the old NBA caps is real good. That's real good.
Some 90s flavor. We talked to Dustin. He loves himself some 90s.
Yeah.
A child of the 80s, but grew up in the 90s. Yeah, there's that stuff too that we can that we can fall back on for our fans. So if you want something citizens related or city related, we'll take to the streets and we'll see what the folks have to say.
Can we get a starter jacket collaboration if we're talking 90s?
Did you own a starter jacket?
Did I? No, man. My parents did not buy me a starter jacket.
I had two starter jackets. I had a Cincinnati Bengals starter jacket because I was growing up in Ohio, so I had the Bengals jacket, and I also had a Packer one. I had like the I don't know the non-zipper. What do you call it? Just
just a pullover.
The pullover Bengals, and I had a zip up like the coach's jacket.
Think about like a hot pink Minneapolis City starter jacket, dude.
Right, I know. It might fly off the shelves.
It'd be the worst. It'd be the greatest thing since like the Phoenix Suns when they came on the scene back in the day, and it was just like orange and purple everywhere. Anyway, so another suggestion when we're talking about what to talk about on the show that came across on the Twitters was to showcase other teams in the Midwest that maybe people want to watch out for, and it came from Dan. So far be it for me to deny the boss. So here we go. We're not talking about other teams in the Midwest that we're going to play, but maybe that like if you're into soccer and you want to spend some time, some of your downtime, some of your non-Minneapolis City time watching some different local soccer, these are the teams, because as we know from our life in the PLA, there's soccer beyond our conference. Mm-hmm. So we can maybe point you in the right direction as long as you keep us number one in your hearts, people. We can be like the first wife in Big Love. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Right.
And those other clubs, they can be like the second crazier wife.
And it's something that we're going to talk about.
The Chloe Savigny.
Right. And it's something we're going to talk about for the next couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
It was suggested that we mention a few teams, but we thought we'd spread it out and maybe feature one per week as we move forward, because we're going to hit a time here after our trial, which is this coming Thursday. We're gonna hit a time where it's like there's not a whole lot to talk about, because it's just prep for the season, and we'll have our training matches and things on those lines, but we're not going to be talking about who had a good practice. So
slow news weeks.
Yeah, slow news week. So we're gonna make this kind of a regular segment for a couple weeks.
So tonight we're gonna talk about a club near and dear to John's hearts, the Bavarians.
Yes.
John, we played them twice last year, and I got to say both times were great experiences for me. Tell us a little bit about your family team.
Yes. So I was kind of doing the math, and I figured out that about 20 members of my family have played for the Bavarians at one point in time in their life. So yes, as if you're a listener to the show or you've gone back and you're an old listener, or you've gone back in the archives and listened to some of our episodes, being a new listener, it's no surprise that me being a Bavarian, I only hated them twice a year when we played them. And I did cheer for them, including in the supporters' sword. I voted for them. Yeah. Not against us, obviously, but when
they didn't play us, which was nice. Oh, well, in the group stage.
In the group stage, yeah. So a little bit of a history lesson, and we talked a little bit about it when we talked about the clubs in our league last year. The club itself was formed in Glendale, Wisconsin, just north of downtown Milwaukee, if you're a geography buff, by German immigrants in 1929. So they've got a few years on us. So that they've been trying this thing out. That they started as the Fußball Club Bayern, as an ode to Bavaria, where majority of the immigrants at the time had immigrated from to Milwaukee. And if you know anything about your Milwaukee history, very ethnic.
So German.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole city itself is very ethnic. You have your Polish, your Hungarian, your German, your Hispanic ethnicities that are in the city. But, from a German perspective, majority of them came from Bavaria. And they started as a multi-sport association. So, they had a few other sports. Excuse me. They had a dancing group, and I believe they still have it. But they quickly, as the years kind of passed,
Bavarian dancing. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, traditional German dancing. I guess it's a thing. All the kids are doing it these days. So, I believe the Dougie was conceived in Bavaria. The very historic rise of the Dougie in post-World War II Germany. But no, as the years kind of passed along, soccer became the marquee sport, and it took center stage still to this day at the club. The club's basically different from us in that it's kind of rested on the laurels of the youth system and the academy that leads into it. And as we're kind of resting on the shoulders of Stegman's and being more of a men's driven club, so they have this thriving youth system. They have a first team and a reserve team model for their top tier. So the team that we played against is their top team. And then obviously they have, in their amateur system, they have, a second team that they can draw from, which we also have, us being like Twin Stars, we copied them. So anyways, they're probably one of the most successful amateur teams in the country. And they should be a baseline model for teams that are looking to build. I think that they've done things right for, not too far away from 100 years, right? Mm-hmm. They're doing some things right. So, like I said, they should be a baseline model. But if you're fans of the friendly match, they've hosted some of the best clubs from around the world, mostly Germany, as you can imagine. But some clubs that are, come to note. They played teams, like Hamburg, Duisburg, out of Germany, Club America. They've had friendlies against them.
Out of Mexico.
Yep, Santos from Brazil. They played Schalke, Bayer Leverkusen, and many more that I'm not mentioning throughout the years, as well as amateur sides too. They haven't just played professional teams, so they definitely show they're not afraid to play anyone, which is kind of a pretty killer swag to have, right? Like,
yeah,
we're going to go up against the team that Pele used to play for, and from a country in Brazil that is a soccer hotbed, right? So
yeah.
Props to them for that. But they've won so many Wisconsin League championships and titles, and I think the count that I could loosely come up with was 50 plus. So they own their market, right? And you sprinkle in your teams like the Milwaukee Croatians that have had a few years here and there, but by and large they're the team to beat within the state. But that kind of stands out for a fact that they've also been a runner-up or champion in every major amateur competition or championship in the United States, which is very, very cool that they're not only playing the pros, but they're playing the semi-pro and amateur teams, and they're one of, if not, the leaders in that category. Specifically, 6 national championships. The first one coming in 1976, and then they had a run from 2001, 2002, and 2003 of being champions, and then a little bit of a drop off until 2009, and then they lost in the finals of the U.S. Amateur Championships this past year.
In extra time?
They were the runner-up for the U.S. Open Cup in 1994.
What?
And most recently, PLA champions this past year. So they pretty much won at every level they've been at. And as it pertains to our new league, the NPSL, the Bavarians themselves were a charter member of our own league in 2005 and competed until they took a little bit of a hiatus and revamped their facility in 2013. So after a few-year break, after 2013, they entered the PLA, which is where we started to tango with them. And our history stat line, Nate, this very historic matchup against them goes like this: 1 win, 0 losses, 1 win, 0 losses, and 1 draw in favor of the Bavarians. So we have played them twice, and we've lost once. So we're looking to beat those guys.
Not bad. Yeah. I think we wanted to bring these guys up mostly because in the summertime, when you're road tripping, when you're visiting relatives, you're heading out east. If you pass through Milwaukee, you really need to stop in and see a game, or at least just visit the Bavarians facility. First of all,
grab some dinner, grab a beer,
because you definitely want to say hi to the soccer moms for us.
Yes.
Yep, and just let them know we're still swearing. But also, that beer hall is super tight, and you know that any game you watch with the Bavarians is going to be competitive. So I highly recommend it. We had such a great time when we were there at the beer hall. Such a great time drinking the apple schnapps. Such a great time watching a great game. It's like I said, it's always going to be competitive. And speaking of competitive,
yes, they've been a top-notch opponent for us and kind of respectful friends in recent history. But it's not to last for too long, Nate. Nate, we're talking about the world-famous friendly series that started last year. And what is that for?
That is the mother flippin' Summit Keg match.
Yes, we are pleased to announce, you hear it here first, that this year's second annual Summit Keg match will be against the historic Milwaukee Bavarians. And we really could not be more pleased to kind of have them back in our lives, that we, considering we moved leagues and,
we can't quit them.
Can't quit them. But the deal is done. The details are still being ironed out. But what we can share for now is that the game is tentatively set for April 22nd. Kickoff is TBD. And the reason for the lack of detail is the U.S. Amateur Championships that we talked about them being so successful in, the draw has yet to come out. And there's a very high chance that they could have a game sometime in April. So
Oh,
if it falls on that weekend, we'll reschedule. But right now, the tentative date is April 22nd. The game will be played at a neutral site, Nate. It won't be played in Milwaukee. It won't be played in Minneapolis. It'll be played in the Wisconsin Dells.
about halfway. That's sweet.
About halfway. I know you're a big fan of the Dells.
I love the Dells, man.
A
Dell Creek
connoisseur,
Motel is where it's at.
a connoisseur of the Smoky Bear Lodge, Nate Morales.
No, son. Dell Creek Motel for life.
Fans will be invited, so get a chance to see your favorite soccer mom or have your favorite citizen talking about crow shitting on their car or their minivan. Maybe we'll separate them by a little more than just an aisle.
You know it.
But excuse me, very much so. Fans will be invited. Nate will be wearing his new city thong. Just
surfing at the Kalahari Water Park.
Cascading down the water slides at the Kalahari Water Park afterwards. So stay tuned for concrete details. But this is what we know for now, and as soon as we know more, you will know more as well. But I don't want to speak for you. I think this is great. It ups our friendly series game. We're not bringing in Fargo that we're going to beat 6-0 and end the franchise.
Yep.
We're bringing in a team that is so well respected and has such history that it will be a very competitive match. We're not quite sure if the Keg is going to travel as far as excuse me, if they're going to take it with them. If God forbid they come out victorious, but the winner of that match will be etched in history as the second annual Summit Keg champion.
I think that's sweet. I think it makes total sense. It's something we've been kind of bouncing around for a couple months. Obviously, the beer connection is great there. But I think the only downside to this for me is that it's a friendly in April, so a lot of our college teammates or a lot of our college players won't be able to be playing. So it almost makes me feel like it's not our real team playing against them. But that's okay. We still got the adults that are going to roll in and stomp on their adults.
Right, and I think there'll be some college guys that'll be able to attend. You look at a guy like just off the top of my head, Will Kidd, who transferred in, and he's in town, so maybe we can get his release for that match. So and I'm sure they'll have a couple in-town college kids, but much like us, they also won't have any of their college players, and they have quite a few that are very talented. And they also have some that also go to St. Thomas, so maybe they'll make the trip down.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited, and
4/22. Put it on your calendars.
Yep, you should be excited too, fans. I mean, it's gonna be awesome, and I don't know if it's gonna be a weekend trip or if you and I are gonna bro down on a two-way ticket to the Dells or what.
We'll see.
But either way, we're gonna hit Culver's. So Nate, that's all we have today. We'd like to thank Summit Brewing Company for their sponsorship of this here podcast. Now that you can buy beer on Sundays in this state, you can soon. You can buy those killer suds from Summit, and that makes 7 days a week and not just 6. So whether it's EPA and Saga to the Unchained series, they have something that will dance well with your palate. Go to your local store and buy some. Don't be a dummy. Buy some Summit. Membership for 2017 is now on sale. $60 gets you a season pass and a fancy new membership scarf, the opportunity to make what we created your own, and of course, so much soccer this summer. In addition, Nate, if you're not quite sure that you want to commit to a full season, you got a busy summer, you want to hit the cabin, you don't know if it's worth it.
You're lame.
You're totally lame. But you want to just pick up a single game ticket. Single game tickets are on sale right now online. You can go to mplscity.com. You can buy any ticket for any game that is a home match. $8 gets you in the door if you buy ahead of time. $10 if you buy it at the door. Head on over again to mplscitysc.com and get whichever entry method you want to the fun today. Nate, you know what I hate? Not helping people, which is why I love this club. Minneapolis City loves to help others, including we're going to be doing some stuff with Big Brothers Big Sisters this week on Thursday. We're going to be going there and doing a little clinic for the kids. and
Awesome.
and for their bigs, as they call it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to align yourself with a fine group that loves to give back, you are in luck. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 charity that does good on and off the pitch by providing those less fortunate a safe, reliable place to play the beautiful game. It's never too early, being that your tax returns probably came for last year, to get those tax-deductible donations on the books. So consider giving to the club that gives back. Excuse me. Whew, this close just gets longer and longer. If you want to get a hold of us, we've made it easier for you. Super easy, some might say. We have a new Twitter handle for you. If you want to go that route, it's at the People's Pitch. You now have really no excuse to engage with us, and some of you did, and we talked about things that you want to hear on this show. And whatever content you want to hear, please engage with us. If you want to go the email route, which you never have done before, but who knows, maybe you will. There's a first time for everything. It's mcscpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, as always, you can hit up the club at MPLS City SC. That's all for this week, folks. We'll be back with a full breakdown of more soccer news, maybe some banter. And the word on the street is that we might do a live pod and have a member of the staff on next week, whether or not it be at the Viking Bar during the membership pickup, packet pickup. But stay tuned, folks. This is the sad part of the show where we have to say goodbye for the week, and Go Get 'em Tiger steps in. I am
sad.
John. That is my soccer brother, Nate. And
What's
you are
up?
the fans. Enjoy your week. We will miss you. And
So much.
always, you got hope.